What's going on, guys, and welcome back to WrestleRant, where every single Tuesday I, Graham G.S. Matthews, break down all the pay-per-views that I watch on the WWE Network as well as on the Global Wrestling Network. And with WWE Backlash 2018 happening this Sunday, today we're talking about last year's installment, Backlash 2017. Emanating from Chicago, the show overall was okay. It wasn't bad. I remember people saying at the time it felt like a good episode of SmackDown, and I will agree with that. I did not think it was nearly on the level of the other SmackDown shows, the other SmackDown exclusive pay-per-views that happened before this. Like I thought, and I've reviewed them here on the channel before. You can go back and check out my thoughts on those respective shows, but Backlash 2017, fucking awesome. Or 2016, excuse me. This is 2017. Backlash 2016, great show. No Mercy 2016, great show. TLC 2016, tremendous show. One of my favorite pay-per-views of the last 5 to 10 years. And then you have Elimination Chamber, which I thought was not as great as the other shows, but still pretty good. This was easily the weakest one to date. And you had a hot crowd. You had Chicago there. And the show really did not get the best build going in. But even the execution of the event I thought was, again, good. I thought it was a solid show. But nothing like, if I wasn't reviewing it for WrestleRant, I probably would not go back and watch it. Though it did have a great theme song, Highway by, I think, Bleacher was the name of the artist. Let me check here on Wikipedia. Pretty sure it was Bleacher. Yeah, it was. I thought the show had a great theme. The execution of the matches, maybe not so much. So real quickly, on the kickoff show, we had Ty Dillinger beating Aiden English. Who gives a shit? Didn't watch it. Okay, didn't watch it again. So why would I watch it again? Because it's a fucking nothing match. To open the actual show, we had Shinsuke Nakamura making his in-ring debut on the main roster against Dolph Ziggler. Now, the build of this bout I thought was really lackluster. It was like the same thing week after week. Nakamura's promos were not lighting the world on fire. People loved Nakamura, the entrance. He was super fucking over. He was over here when he came out from Chicago. But the match, I thought it was well wrestled, and I enjoyed it to an extent, but it was not the showcase that Shinsuke should have gotten for his first match on the main roster, because it was very 50-50 with a guy that was so heavily damaged in Dolph Ziggler. Why would you want to make it feel like a competitive contest with a guy that no one could give two shits about in Dolph Ziggler? I thought that was really a mind-boggling decision. I think that was one thing that people did not like about this match, in addition to the fact that, quite honestly, the early goings were pretty boring. It did not pick up until like the final maybe 5 to 10 minutes, maybe 5 to 7 minutes it picked up. Beyond that, it was a pretty average match, which you do not want to do with one of the hottest guys on your show. He's making his first ever in-ring appearance on your brand, on a pay-per-view, which spoke volumes to what they thought of Nakamura first coming in. They really obviously viewed him as a big star. But why would you squander that momentum by having him go 50-50 with a guy who could not mean any less at that point in time, and even now, but especially back then? That was a really weird decision. Now, Nakamura won, and it was a good match, but it was not the match that Nakamura should have been having in his first match on the main roster. But that's purely my opinion. I don't think that has changed from last year to this year. For the SmackDown Tag Team titles, we had the Usos defending against Breezangos, Fandango, and Tyler Breeze. Now, this was a nothing match coming into the show. Breezango had almost no momentum. They really came out of nowhere as number one contenders. I think they beat American Alpha. American Alpha looked like they would get the match of the Usos, which they had already faced off a million times, so maybe Breezango was a better bet just because, you know, they're fresher faces. But they were losers. For all intents and purposes, they were losers coming into the show. But right before the pay-per-view, they somewhat kind of got over with the Fashion Files stuff, which they ended up doing for many months after that, and I don't think we've seen an episode of Fashion Files on TV since, like, fucking late 2017, and it's, it's April as I record this, or, April as I record this still, or no, May. Is it May 1st? I think it's May 1st. I don't know, I lose track of the days. But anyway, Breezango had almost no fanfare coming into the show, yet they really gained something in defeat here. No, Breezango should have not won. They did not need to win the fucking belts. I remember people saying at the time, oh my god, why did they pull the trigger? It's like, dude, the Usos were one of the hottest tag teams at that point in time. And Breezango, yeah, they were getting over and they had a great showing here, but you didn't need to put the fucking belts on two job guys, on two comedy wrestlers. Now, the Fashion Files stuff is entertaining. I will give them that. Breezango has gotten over as like an undercard tag team, but they're just not championship worthy, at least not with this gimmick. I like Breezango, but they're not a tag team title worthy tandem while they're comedy guys. That's always been my 2 cents. In the ring, they're awesome. If they played it more serious, like they did towards the end of this match, I think they could be championship caliber competitors. But for right now, I have to argue against that. But anyway, this turned out to be a much more fun match than I think it had any right to be. Now, the early goings was not wrestling based at all, like I thought it probably would be. It did turn into more of a wrestling match towards the end, but in the beginning, Breezango with like fucking Tyler Breeze was a janitor, and then he turned into a grandma, and the people ate it up. I think Chicago is the perfect crowd to try that with, because they were either going to poop all over it or fucking love it to death. And they loved it. They were chanting, "Let's go, Grandma." They were going nuts. But yeah, I really, really thought this was a fun match. One of, if not the best match on the entire show. Definitely this was the match that the crowd was hottest for on the entire show. Even over Owens and Zayn, which I'll get to momentarily. But I thought this was a really, really fun match. Breezango gained a lot in defeat. Even though they would never really go after the championships again after this, I thought they still had a great showing here, and their stock skyrocketed because of how over they were in defeat here. So I thought it was a really fun match. Again, more fun than it had any right to be. After that, we had Sami Zayn taking on Baron Corbin one-on-one in a standard singles match. Nothing special about it. It was a good match. Nothing too great. Zayn winning decisively kind of surprised me. I mean, Zayn was owed a big win. He had not won on a major pay-per-view in a long-ass time. So he needed a win, but Baron Corbin, I guess their mindset was that, okay, Baron Corbin, we can beat him like a drum, and it won't matter because he's winning Money in the Bank, which he did the following month. I don't know, I just thought it was a weird finish, but I thought it was a good match. They worked well together. I thought they would have better chemistry together than they did, and the crowd was kind of quiet early on, and it's hard to blame them. I mean, these guys didn't really have much of a personal issue. They were really just kind of thrown together because they had nothing to do going into Backlash. But I thought it was a good match. Zayn winning got the feel-good moment reaction that you would expect from Zayn winning. But beyond that, really not worth going back to watch. Then we had the women's match. A 6-woman tag team match. The Welcoming Committee, consisting of Carmella, Tamina, and Natalya, taking on the trio of Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, and the SmackDown Women's Champion, Naomi. It was a fine match, but I could not give two shits. It felt like a SmackDown match. Because you knew they would do a fucking rematch like 2 days later, with the babyfaces getting their win back. So who gave a shit? You know what I mean? I think Becky, I know Becky tapped out to Natalya in the end. So Natalya got more momentum, which went nowhere, because Carmella ended up winning Money in the Bank the following month, not Natalya. And it's not like Natalya got a title shot against Naomi at Money in the Bank. That match would not happen until SummerSlam. So I just thought this whole thing was weird. Charlotte Flair felt wasted on SmackDown from the moment she showed up. And she went babyface, which is the wrong role for the wrong role for her, in my opinion. I don't know. I just was not a fan of this match really at all. There was nothing at stake. It was a standard 6-woman tag team match. Who could give a shit? The heels won, whatever. I mean, it was not a bad match, but nobody cared, and why would they? I didn't care, and why would I? Anyway, for the United States Championship, it was Kevin Owens defending against AJ Styles, with Owens winning by countout. Now, I thought this was a pretty good match. I thought it was a great match, even. One of the better matches on the show. If you said the Usos versus Breezango was the match of the night, I would not argue with you, because that had the best crowd reaction. This was a really well-wrestled match, though I thought it was very boring in some parts. It went over 20 minutes, and it was not the match I was expecting from them. Now, they had some great matches in 2016, and for anyone who said, oh, Owens and AJ don't have, great chemistry at all, their chemistry sucks, I know none of their main roster matches have been, in the last year, have been just blow away, but you go back to their main roster matches from the year prior. They had a match on Raw. I think they had a match on SmackDown first. I think on St. Patrick's Day, if I'm not mistaken, because I remember watching that and being just blown away by how great it was. But they had a match at that point. They had a match on Raw a few days after that. And then they had a Money in the Bank qualifying match soon after. And Owens, I think, won all the matches against AJ. But they were all great. They were all really, really entertaining. And I was expecting something similar here. This felt like it went on for a little too long, and it felt like they were holding back for a feature encounter. And they would have some better matches during the course of the feud. The feud lasted way too long. But I don't know, I feel like all their matches were marred by just bad finishes. The count-out finish was really flat. It kept the belt on Owens and protected AJ, but it came off really, really flat. So Owens attacked AJ's knee throughout the entire match. Ultimately, they go out to ringside. Owens was about to be hit with a Styles Clash on the announce table. Owens kind of like wrapped his leg up, or grabbed his leg, whatever, and forced AJ to fall through the commentary table, leg first, into like the hole where the TV would be. So he couldn't get out, he was stuck, and then he got counted out. So the finish was flat. Owens came over afterwards to kick AJ in the head, which was funny. And that was it. So I was hoping for a better match. Kind of disappointing, the finish especially was. Owens winning was not surprising. He just regained the gold a few weeks earlier. So him retaining was not a shocker in the slightest. But I did thought it was slightly underwhelming. Even though it was a really, really good match, I thought they really worked well together and they had a great match early on. Just the final stretch was not what I thought it would be, if that makes sense. The following match was Luke Harper versus Eric Rowan, which did not need to happen at all. So the only real build this match had was, beyond the obvious history between Harper and Rowan, Rowan beat Harper on TV. Clean as a sheet. Why? Because fuck you. That's why. And I say that, it's like, why would you care about Harper being beat clean by Eric Rowan? It's because Harper had some momentum, a shred of momentum, coming out of WrestleMania. Well before WrestleMania, he had some momentum. They fucking squandered it by doing nothing with the guy at WrestleMania, except for putting him in the goddamn stupid Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. But anyway, so he came out of WrestleMania with some momentum still, and they did nothing with the guy. Did absolutely fucking nothing. Jack shit. He wanted to face Eric Rowan in a rematch on this show. Harper won, thank God, but no one cared. The final few minutes were well done. Harper's athleticism was amazing, but Rowan does nothing for me. As opponents, no one gave a shit. They could have done this feud like 2 years earlier when Harper first broke off from Rowan, and they had they had some momentum in a feud. If they wanted to go in that direction, they never did, and they waited too long to do the feud. They did it here. No one gave a shit. Harper won, but for what? The guy was not on TV after that. I think he lost the match to fucking Jinder Mahal on SmackDown. And he was on SmackDown maybe in a match or two after that. But beyond that, Harper was never on fucking TV. Dude, who cared? This was a complete waste of time. The main event for the WWE Championship, Randy Orton defending against Jinder Mahal. Yes, Jinder Mahal. I mean, obviously now it's not too shocking, but at the time it's like Jinder Mahal in a pay-per-view main event. Who cares? The jobbers on this show got a real push. From Eric Rowan to Jinder to Breezango. Rowan, who gave a shit about. Breezango deserved it. Jinder Mahal, I don't know. They really made a big effort to make you care about Jinder. To push this guy as a main event level guy. To make you think that he was a legitimate contender to the WWE Championship. He picked up a few big wins on TV over AJ and Sami Zayn and a few others. But other than that, it was like, Jinder, I know they're trying to push a fresh face, which I appreciated, but as a character, it's like, that you boo me because of my skin color. It's like, dude, we've seen this a million times. Why should I care? And in the ring, the guy was nothing special either. And on the mic, and especially in the ring, the guy was very mediocre. And that was on full display here. Now, they brawled a bit beforehand with Jinder attacking Orton, so it kind of gave Orton an out for losing in the end. I don't know. I just thought it was a mediocre main event. They don't have good chemistry. Owens and AJ, I would disagree with them not having good chemistry because a lot of their matches had either bad finishes or it was just the fact that they were either, there was interference from Shane McMahon or some other shit. This one, they just don't have good chemistry. Jinder's champion, I never bought into once. I gave it a couple weeks. Guy had a great entrance. Loved the Singh brothers. But Jinder himself did nothing for me. Jack shit for me. And that never really changed at all coming out of the show. But Jinder did win. Jinder got the big shock win, became WWE Champion. And it's funny to me, because they never really strike while the iron is hot. The iron was never really hot with Jinder, like, ever. But this company will wait a little too long, or never even pull the trigger on certain people, like Ryback. Granted, that was in the middle of CM Punk's long title reign, so you really could not have changed the championship. But, that was a guy that was over, and rightfully so, around late 2012. And they never pulled the trigger. They pulled the trigger with Jinder, and most people don't really give a shit. Some people were Jinder fans. I can't say everyone did not like the Jinder push. But most people were not on board with it because they saw through this guy and saw that he was not a main event caliber competitor. He just wasn't, and he isn't. He's good at the mid-card level, not so much at the main event level. But anyway, the match was fine. I thought it was decent, but probably better than I thought it would be. But the big shock win is what this match will be remembered for. And he won relatively clean, too. Orton got distracted by the Singh brothers, but largely, it was Jinder who picked up the win with one finisher, the Colossus, one clean Colossus, and that was it. So Jinder Mahal, your new WWE champion. And that was what made the show newsworthy. Other than that, the show was really just kind of there. Nakamura making his in-ring debut was cool. The match was, could have been booked better. Really, this entire show just kind of happened. Again, as an episode of SmackDown, it probably would have been pretty good. As a pay-per-view, completely missable. The tag team title match I thought was a lot more fun than it had any right to be, like I said. And then Owens and AJ was, as expected, quite great, except for the disappointing finish. And the main event just did nothing for me. So, the show was just kind of there. I would not recommend that you go back and watch it on the network. It was solid, but not like, oh my God, go back and watch it before Backlash this Sunday. No, I would say before Backlash this coming Sunday, I would recommend you watch Backlash either 2016 or the installment before that, Backlash 2009. Now, Backlash 09 is a good fucking show. Backlash 2016 was also very good. But Backlash 2017, it was just kind of there. So hopefully this coming installment, I know all eyes were on the greatest Royal Rumble last week, but hopefully the upcoming installment is a bit better than this one was. I mean, having both brands, I think, helps, but we'll see. I think it could be a good show on paper. Anyway, guys, thank you for checking out my Backlash 2017 review. I appreciate it. Be sure to like the video, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more daily content. I will be back next Tuesday with another all-new WrestleRant review, I think covering a TNA pay-per-view. I forgot what it was, but I think next week I will be talking about a TNA show. So until then, guys, have a great rest of your week. Enjoy Backlash on Sunday. I'm Graham G.S. Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.